And welcome to another edition of St. Louis 7, following an episode on OT with Oliver. Today's guest was Chuck Jackson, good friend of mine, St. Louis entrepreneur. Talked a lot about his stuff, man. We talked about racism, which was something that, was kind of the theme of the episode. But then we talked about St. Louis. We talked about growing up in Webster Groves. And I think at the end, we kind of let our guard down and had some fun. And it was good catching up, man.
Yeah, you too, man. I'm not an entrepreneur that much, but you recalled an issue, an occasion where I was an entrepreneur, and I do have side things going. So, but it's good to be here, Ollie. You're a fun guy, man.
St. Louis 7, number one question we ask everybody. We already know, if you listen to the episode, that you went to Webster Groves. Did you have a good time there?
I did. It's kind of like a Mayberry existence. Even though they didn't have any brothers on Leave It to Beaver. But at any rate, Webster is kind of the poor man's Clayton. It was, very earthy, very suburban. And I had a great time there. I was a musician. I still am, played the drums and, participated in athletics. It was a great time, a fun city. And I'm proud to be a Webster Groves guy. I'm from the 1-9, as we call it.
When you want a good steak, where do you go?
Well, that's a good question. Peter Luger's in New York City is one of my favorites. But in St. Louis, there's several. I mean, I still like Tony's, but Citizen Kane certainly can put down a tremendous piece of meat. And Ballard Herbie's, puts down a good. I am carnivorous, and so the three of those probably sit, highest on my scale.
You had a good run working at Fox Sports Midwest. That's an important station here in St. Louis. A lot of Cardinals, a lot of Blues. What do you remember from working at Fox Sports Midwest?
I remember going to a lot of games, a lot of sporting events. You're right. It was a great gig. And so, we'd be home. Let me see, we'd have 81 home games. And so, you attend that with clients, and drink beer and have good seats and all that stuff. And then the same was true with Blues, only half of that number. And so a great deal of my life was spent at sporting events. I love sports, but probably after year 2 or 3, it became more work than fun. But I enjoyed it, man. What a great, it was fun. And I still got a bunch of that swag, man. I'm glad I didn't go to work for ESPN.
When you go to Ted Drew's, what do you order?
Always the hot apple pie sundae, or concrete, as it were, where they take a hot piece of apple pie, shove it in one of those cups, and then put the custard on top of it with some whipped cream. Good Lord. But they just had the COVID deal, so I can't go for a while, I guess. They closed them up.
They did. Just recently, they reclosed them up.
Right. I love Ted Drew's, so I'm a big fan.
Your favorite concert?
Whoa, boy, that's a good one. You know what? I probably have to say Return to Forever, which is Chick Corea, Al Di Meola, Stanley Clarke, and Lenny White. I was a big Lenny White fan, and I play a pretty percussive, violent drum like that, a lot of paradiddle and what have you. And so that was probably my favorite concert. A close second would be the night that I went to Boston, to go to college. My mom used to like to stay in the Sheraton hotels at that time. This is early 80s. That was kind of like a big deal for her. She loved Sheraton. That was like the Ritz almost in our minds. And so we stayed at the Sheraton Hotel on Boylston Street. And across from there, when we were pulling up to the hotel, my parents drove me, as a matter of fact, St. Louis to Boston, because I had so much crap. And actually, I think my mom may have had more suitcases than me. And she would only stay in a weekend. I was staying for 3 years. But that's another story. But we pull up, and my dad looks across the street, and there was a venue called Paul's Mall and the Jazz Workshop. And on the marquee was Stanley Turrentine. So he looks at me and goes, I know where we're going tonight. I'm like, where's that? He goes, we're going right across the street to see Stanley Turrentine. He's one of my favorites. And 18 was the drinking age. So I could drink a full scotch with my dad and listen to Stanley Turrentine. Speed Up. I still like Stanley Turrentine a bunch. My dad became good friends with him, and my mom and dad were with his wife when he got the Kennedy Center honors posthumously.
Wow.
True
That's
story.
kind of a big night.
True story. Yeah. He had passed away, but my mom and dad met him on a jazz cruise with his wife, and they became friends, and they were friends probably the last 7, 8 years of his life. Stanley Turrentine.
All right, Mr. St. Louisan, you encounter 10 stop signs. How many do you roll?
None. I'm black.
Oof. And people need to listen to the podcast to see what that was all about. All right, so Chuck Jackson.
And I'm not kidding either, Ali, by the way.
Unfortunately, I feel you.
And I drive some pretty high-profile automobiles, too, so that doesn't help me either.
Anytime you want, let me borrow one of your automobiles. We can do like a little experiment to see who gets pulled over more often.
No, I'm good.
All right, Chuck. We're going to wrap it up again. People want to listen to Chuck's episode. It's at OTwithOliver, wherever you get your podcasts. This is how we end every one of these St. Louis Sevens. Chuck, what makes you proud to be a St. Louis?
Can we hold that until the next episode? That may take some thought.
Sure.
No, I'm just kidding. The thing that makes me proud as a St. Louis is, I am who I am despite being from St. Louis. So oftentimes people want to think, we're a bunch of hayseeds or, whatever you want to call us, hillbillies, hilljacks, whatever. And so I do at times kind of play that down in a Columbo type way or, Barnaby Jones type way. I'm just kind of a dumbass country boy. And so what makes me proud is being a dumbass country boy.
Good answer, man. Stay healthy.
You too, buddy. Let's talk soon, okay?
Rock and roll.
All right, brother.